Smartphones are making us sick. Anxiety and mental health illnesses have risen, and not to talk of the constant feeling that we're losing control of our lives. And in steps a dumbphone to save the day, and it has this incredible promise of taking us back to when times were simpler. I mean, I grew up with dumbphones, so I know what it's like. But the fact that Gen Z, who didn't grow up with dumbphones, are desperate for one means that it's not nostalgia alone that's driving this. There's a real problem here. But is switching to a dumbphone really a solution that actually works? Or are tech companies jumping on the hype to give us gimmicky solutions? Does it even make sense to try and solve an issue caused by tech by buying another piece of tech?
The reason you can never have the perfect dumbphone is because you will never have a phone that's specific to your needs, or a phone that is made specifically for your needs.
If you type in dumbphone on Google without typing in anything else, you see search suggestions for dumbphones with WhatsApp, dumbphones with Spotify. This is based on what everyone is searching for, and it's even crazy on YouTube. I think it tells us that people don't really want dumbphones. We just want smartphones that don't take over our lives.
But I feel like when I'm on my phone, it's like already pulling me in. I feel like my brain is getting like sucked into it. And I just don't like the feeling of being on a phone because it feels addictive, and I want to go on apps and I want to scroll, and I don't want that.
The problem is our phones have evolved now into something of a monster. We feel chained to it now because of the amount of investment that's gone into making both the phone and the apps we use on it as addictive as ever. But while everyone is trying to detox and switch over to a dumbphone, we're also creating another set of problems. Swinging the pendulum so far to the other end of let's all get a dumbphone means companies like the lightphone can swoop in to offer us a $700 solution with a $47 case. But the problem with these extreme swings is that they don't last.
All right, so I'm nearly finished with this 30-day experiment, and if I'm being completely honest, I cannot wait to get back to a smartphone.
The reality is that for the majority of the population, the world that we're living in requires you to have a smartphone. For example, here in the UK, they're trying to introduce the digital ID, which means you can't work, rent, or access public services without it. We also need two-factor authentication for work these days, Google Maps, banking and payment apps like Venmo, PayPal, paying for parking, e-tickets for transport and events, group chats with friends and family, music. The list is endless, so getting a dumbphone today just sort of makes everything 10 times harder.
I'm currently locked out of my account because the lightphone doesn't have the app to unlock this, which makes me very present, but also very unemployed.
Which is why very few people are privileged enough to be in the position to make it work, and some just use it as a secondary device. The rest just give up after a period of time and go back to the smartphone.
That's tough. How do you find that balance, right? Because there's certain things that I would need this to be able to do. Because otherwise I'm just gonna have to carry a second phone in my pocket. And by the time I do that, this has accomplished nothing.
So here's the main reason why your phone seems to be in control of your life. Tech companies use the hook model to get you addicted to their products. It starts with a trigger, the notification coming up in your screen, which requires you to take a very simple, low-effort action of clicking on it. Now, all they have to do is start offering you variable rewards of likes, an infinite scrolling feed, and you're now invested, you're hooked. It's a weirdly simple yet powerful approach. So it makes sense that if we remove the trigger, we're cutting it off from the source. And that means turn off the notifications for all apps, then turn on the only ones that you really need, and also turning off the always on display because it is really so distracting. So what I want to share with you today are the long-term sustainable changes that I've made to my phone to turn this into a healthier device that I can coexist with. No need to pay for any detox apps or spend money on gimmicky products. We need to introduce a lot of friction, starting with deleting any apps that doesn't fall into this category. Calling, texting, navigation, music, calendar, mobile banking, parking and transportation, any mandatory digital ID apps, and apps for utilities. Then we introduce more friction by having only the apps that you need to use on the home screen. Then we need to tackle color. All these reds, oranges, and bright colors are hacking into our brain's natural reflexes to make us feel like we urgently need to attend to this thing right now. If you're using an iPhone, you can find these in the accessibility settings. The same thing applies to Android. One issue with this is when you need color, you're sort of stuck. Being able to tell when someone has read your message in the group chat or using Google Maps and taking photos are particular sore points. That's one thing that dumb phones like the lightphones don't address, but real dumb phones do. But then again, when you use a real dumb phone, you run into the lack of vital features problem. So here's how I've addressed this. I assigned this to a shortcut that runs every morning, so if I for any reason turned on the colors, it automatically resets to grey mode every morning without relying on my willpower, and you can also do this with Android routines. Again, still eliminating the reliance on willpower, we also need to use the screen time limitations. This one requires you to ask someone else to choose a password for it. So if you must have social media on your phone, you can limit it by, for example, 5 minutes on specific days, and you can't bypass it because you don't know the password. And the shame of having to crawl back to the person and publicly admit your failure will hopefully put you off. The screen time lock also acts as a pattern interruption to snap you out of it when you get stuck in. And to finish off, use your focus mode. Android has it under digital well-being, and this is the one thing you can use to remove the need for willpower and automate the silence. And you end up with a device like this: functional, minimal, and most importantly, out of the way. Thanks for watching, and also check out this video on why buying the Meta Ray-Bans is really the opposite of what you really want to be doing if you care about living intentionally.